Welcome back to another behind the sound video. My name's Adil and welcome to our YouTube channel, guys. Today's video is all about showcasing what goes on behind the scenes and where we're up to as a little bit of a progress update on the Ferrari 355 GTS. We're going to be talking through each stage, what's gone on behind the scenes, plus also what we've done so far. So basically, let's start off in the front area here. Basically, the customer was after a relatively stock look, but didn't want to settle for any sort of compromising sound. So what we're using in terms of amplification stage is two amplifiers. Basically, they are the Audison Voce range. So basically, we've got the Audison Voce Quattro, which is a 4-channel amp running an Audison Thesis front end. And then we've also got an Audison Voce Uno in here as well. This system has actually changed slightly from the original spec of how we designed it. In the original behind the sound video, we actually talked about the Hertzmille Legend tweeter going into our stock location. However, we've changed that over to the Audison Thesis range, gone into a stock location using custom 3D printed brackets. We worked out that there was a space and the ability that we had to actually do that in-house. Plus, also, we went through the customer advantages of going to Audison Thesis as a tweeter range into that location, and he decided to go for it. And my God, it's absolutely incredible. Car has just been set up, so we've just set that up via a computer. Now, how we're basically plugging into these systems is amplifiers like this are basically used as a source of power. However, going from the head unit, it basically signal goes directly into a product that's actually installed in a very stock location. So underneath here, this is a little cover that sits on top of there. When that comes off, it basically used to be a CD changer in here. However, now we've got access to fuses, but also we've also got underneath that the processor. Basically, signal comes from a head unit over to the actual processor itself live directly here. And what that does is cleans up the signal. We actually configure that all via a laptop. Basically, the laptop allows us to do time alignment, which actually we can configure the way the sound is actually outputting into the vehicle, plus also de-equalize the head unit. So any head unit, factory or aftermarket, has basically an element of kind of bad food kind of thing that's basically coming out of it and being fed to generally speakers. However, we get to clean that all up using a processor. We take that bad food, we basically clean it up digitally, sonically fix all of the issues that that head unit is outputting, then relay that into amplifiers, because amplifiers in essence are a rather kind of, in essence, a dumb product as you would. They only amplify what they're given. So now we've got that cleaned up via a processor. It makes a world of difference. We get a lot more control. We've got a full parametric EQ on it as well. So we're using the Audison Bit Nove. Full product links will be in the description below, guys. But if you want to check that out, there's plenty of videos on the Audison website as well for that product and the specs of any product if you are interested in that. But gives us a lot more control, but also gives the ability for the amplification stage to perform a lot nicer, because we've got a lot more of a cleaner signal going directly into the amplifiers for them to output directly with new cable runs directly to the speaker configuration that we've gone for in the front. So that's basically the laptop side of things, how we've configured that, and that's actually gone into kind of a hidden away stock location, which is really nice. Plus the fuses are really easy to access as well. The other thing that we've done is mounted a board to house the Audison Voce amplifiers. Customer was after a couple of things. First thing was a relatively stock look, but also retaining products like this. Basically, the toolbox here, there's two of them to go in. In essence, we've actually manufactured a board that basically allows these to be retained. So this is quite a rare spec, and actually quite rare to find the original toolboxes from the vehicle. So there's two of them, and also we've got the factory spare wheel that also sits in a mounting position here. We've managed to retain the mounting position. We've managed to retain the toolbox functionality, adding that in, and that's all designed on top of these amplifiers. We've got breathing space for them to kind of keep their airflow and circulation in there. However, we've got a custom built panel that also goes on top. So this is basically the panel. So we've dressed this in a way and built this and designed this in a way to reutilize the existing straps to house in the actual product itself. So this basically goes in at a little bit of an angle like that, and then it slides in and off we go. So what we've done in terms of here, this is basically snug all the way, dressed all the way around. We've got a little bit of ventilation on the sides and ventilation at the bottom, and in essence the toolbox will sit on top of here, straps go over, and then also the spare wheel goes in this area here. So we've got two toolboxes to go into there. So really nicely designed. As you can see, as a finished product, it looks relatively stock. Amps are hidden away, there's nothing really on display, and then we're going to be embossing a Ferrari logo actually in there as well, just to set it off a little bit, give it a little bit more color, but also just make that look a lot nicer. So overall, really happy with this front end, how this has come along. Basically later on in the video, we're going to be heading into the fabrication room, showcasing the actual custom door cards that we're building, but for now we're going to head inside the vehicle, actually talk about the Audison Thesis tweeters, but also go through the Audison Thesis sax speakers in the door. In the previous behind the sound video, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go check that out and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. But inside here, basically on behind the sound volume 1, you would have seen that this door card was off from this side. That's because we've been acoustically soundproofing the vehicle. Inside here, what have we got? Basically, this is the Audison Thesis speaker. So this is a 6.5-inch driver. This is actually built into a custom 3D printed baffle. So this is all design spec'd and then installed completely in-house. Then we've acoustically soundproofed it with Skin's 3mm layer. Basically, you've got the back of this card here, the central layer where the speaker's mounted to, plus then obviously the back of the actual door card itself. The reason why we add soundproofing, it reduces rattles, resonations from factory door cards, but also build a far better acoustic environment for the new sound system to work in. So it's an immense amount of work to get the car to this level. Obviously, this door card from stock, you couldn't actually have a 6.5-inch Thesis woofer into a stock location. So we're going to be heading over, showing you the door cards, that actually how we're actually housing that and how we're going to make that into a very stock look in here. One of the other things that I want to talk to you about, which is an immense achievement by our team. Basically, Carl and Steve have been working on the car predominantly, but what they've managed to do is actually install an Audison Thesis tweeter into a stock location of a 355 GTS. That is an incredible bit of kit. Basically, we've got the Audison Thesis tweeter mounted in a completely custom baffle, and we actually showed the customer via FaceTime. We did a little update video the other day, I think it was 2 days ago now. Went through and actually showcased behind the scenes of actually what was actually being designed, how we designed it, the thought process behind it, and how we're going to actually install it behind the scenes. Customer was after keeping that dashboard as a very stock look. That's exactly what we've achieved, but however, we've got an incredible amount of equipment going in that's live directly in there. In terms of the head unit that's in there, we've got a Blaupunk Bremen unit, basically a relatively retro looking unit. It's really nice. It's got the green lights that also match the lights inside the vehicle, but you can configure them as well to whatever color it might be. But you've now got digital radio, you've now got Bluetooth streaming, you've got Bluetooth hands-free, you've got USB, you've got SD card slot, you've got an auxiliary port, you've got loads of functionality packed live directly in that new unit. However, it looks so stock, it looks like it sort of the car should have come with it from original. So it's really nice to have that level of equipment in the car as a cosmetic thing as well. The other thing that we also should discuss as well is the sub. So in the last video, we did touch on it a little bit, but the custom sub box that we've built absolutely rocks. Literally, me and Steve's been looking at the car like literally the whole day basically, and just amazed by how good this 8-inch sub performs in this car. This car is, we've installed lots of these 8-inch subs, and this is literally the best sounding 8-inch sub install that we've actually ever done from what I can tell. Basically, it performs so nicely. It's in a completely hidden location right underneath the dashboard, but it performs so well. It's actually bolted and designed in a way where there's actually zero damage to the vehicle itself. We can actually remove it completely with leaving nothing untoward underneath that dashboard. It is completely built for this vehicle. It's took a couple of days to build originally, and it took a little bit of different trial attempts and stuff, but Carl's managed to pull it off. He's done an incredible job, and we're really proud of how this actually sounds. And we sat in the car, done a little bit of the initial setup. There is more to do when seats go back in, roof goes on, and set it all up properly. However, the bass tune's all done, but it sounds absolutely phenomenal. So hopefully you're enjoying the video, but stay tuned. We're going to head into the actual fabrication area now, and we're actually going to go through and actually talk about more about the door cards themselves, how we're building those, what the boys are up to in there. So we are now in the fabrication area. So Carl's been working on the custom fabrication of the door cards. Basically, the customer was after having a stock look, but also having, obviously, sonically having a brilliant system. So we wanted to get in the Audison Thesis sax into the doors. However, couldn't go into an exact stock location. However, we're doing something rather special. So leave the hand over to Carl. He'll talk you through kind of the challenges that we face in getting an Audison Thesis sax into the door of a Ferrari 355, but also actually how we're kind of building the system.
Cool. Right, with this one, as you can see, there is a rather large piece sticking out from the door there. And that's because, as you said earlier, the speaker has been spaced out a lot from the door to be able to fit it into the factory door. So with the customer asking for it to be as stock look as possible, taking out the grills from the original port piece, I'll just turn it over for you, which was literally there. We've then built a bit of framework up behind and then recreated a front panel from the ply to match how the door card was originally. We've then built a few bits around the back there to space it out and then be able to blend that into the door card itself. So once that gets retrimmed in the same factory carpet, it'll blend in pretty seamlessly all the way around.
Okay. And this
look like the factory.
And this gap that you've got here, what's happening with that?
That's part of the original trim, which has been shrunk down by about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, to allow it to then fit back in place.
Okay.
Over the top.
So basically that
trimmed with the factory.
Yeah, so that's basically rather than kind of sinking down and flat with that door card, it's basically just going to still have a dip, which will be quite nice and make it look quite stock, but then just flow down. That
would have gone right the way down to the base of the door card, and then it was just flat straight off the door card.
Yeah. In terms of moving that speaker, in terms of that configuration, where that 6.5-inch driver is sitting playing into that door, was the factory one there, or is it in the same location?
Exactly the same location.
Okay, nice.
Exactly the same location, just spaced up about 1 inch roughly.
And this grid is actually from the original grill as well?
From the door card. That's what holds the carpet up off of the speaker so that it can still obviously play through.
Right.
But keeps it hidden so you don't see that it's in there.
And obviously with a speaker, obviously on the 355, you've got the speaker mounted to the door. So it comes off slightly from what we can see from the 3D printed bracket. Yep. But obviously you've got a lot of gap between this area now and obviously where that speaker is. So what do you do to kind of counter that or help sound waves actually come through into the vehicle?
Once the door card's completely finished, there'll be a foam ring, about so size roughly, stuck on the actual speaker on the car. That will then butt up to the back of the grille into there, which will then completely seal off the door card and allow the sound to go straight through and out.
Right, perfect.
Stop it from bouncing around behind.
So literally every element of any system is thought about in a lot of detail. So whenever we're building something like this, we always think about 5-6 times and then we cut once. Mostly because obviously on this occasion we are modifying a factory panel. Obviously that's not a reversible thing. However, on the system we've done elements that are reversible, elements that aren't. But overall we're after a relatively stock look as possible, and literally we have achieved that. And once this is all dressed in the actual material that comes from factory, we're sourcing that at the moment with the exact leather, but also the exact actual blue carpet that covers that area as well. So it should look really, really nice, and we'll do a final video actually showcasing everything that we've done as a final product on later on in video. So make sure you've hit the subscribe button. But other than that, from me and Carl, we're all done. Thank you very much. See you soon.